check 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2 3. This is Marcos from the LTS podcast, and you're listening to an Out of Office. Happy holidays. Talk to you soon. Later. Dear listeners, welcome to Out of Office.
But when it comes to food or like traveling and stuff like that's, something I like to converse with people about. And that's how I usually broke ice. With guys, it would be like those type of things. With girls, it'd be a little, I would have to like be a lot smoother and a lot more like finessing.
Define smooth, man, because that even then it's like, for me it's like smooth. Just talk to them, don't be disrespectful, and have a nice day, I guess.
I think what we tend to forget, especially with people that are in the service industry, is that you already have like the advantage in the sense that they're approaching you because you're offering a service, right? Right. So you're in your case, you're charging people money for whatever they're buying
or
at
service,
the convenience store, right?
Yeah.
In my case, I was actually serving them food, if not bringing food to a location. And they might be the one arranging the actual catering. So I might have to automatically speak to that person and, basically say, oh, how would you like things set up or something like that? Or if I'm the one cooking in the back of the house, like I have to know how many people there is. So I know how many pieces of X, Y, and Z I need to prepare and make, that for that day. So sometimes I would have to talk to the clients and actually do that. So if, say, we're doing a party of like 50 people, I need to make hummus for these people, right? Because they wanted hummus and warm pita chips. Okay, so I have to make the hummus. I have to get this amount made in order for them to have enough for the people that are there, and things like that. So understanding that you already have that advantage when you're already talking to the other person, so that step is already eliminated for you. You don't have to do too much, right? Now, all you have to remember is not to mess it up, right? Say something out of pocket or be clumsy in trying to explain certain things, because sometimes it's just, being polite, understanding where you are.
Not making situation.
Yeah, right. So in my case, it's like there's girls that because I was in the food service industry, when I was dealing with a lot of people, it really depended on how, like, the type of how can I put it, how they would interact with me from the jump, right? So sometimes it would go well, and let me just run by you like how I would approach the situation. So usually they would walk up to me, and it depended on what type of station I was on. If I was on a hot food station, or if I was doing a station like a deli station, or even a salad bar station or something like that. Like they approach you. Usually, you greet them. Hey, how's it going? What can I get for you? Or how may I help you? Or whatever the case is, right? And usually from there, they tended to be nice and kind and say, oh, hey, how's it going? How are you? And they would try to also do small talk because, we're human beings, and, we can be polite. Yeah, we can be polite and we can have a convo. So if there if there weren't a lot of people waiting for to get served, I would go out of my way, like, oh, so how's your day going? Oh, it's going well. Oh, or how was your weekend? Is always a good one, right?
That's harder than you think, man. Just to get out of script, if you will. Just, you can be polite and have a good service, because that's the service industry, right? You learn how to give a good service. You become good at what you do and try to give them best service. But that takes time, man. Trust me.
Yeah. But I'm talking to you about people that probably I would know a little bit better, because it's not like a one-off that I'm talking to these people, right? So maybe I see them,
the regulars.
Right, like a three out of like the 6 days they would come in, right? Or 3 out of 7. I mean, 3 out of 5 or 3 out of 6 days that they would come, right?
Yeah.
Or more or less, depending on their situation and agenda. But I would see them, not on a daily basis, but enough that I would build up that rapport with them, so it would be comfortable. for me to actually go like start the conversation that way, where there might be people where it's like, oh, hey, how's it going? Listen, today we have, whatever type of
Whatever the
chicken,
menu,
beef, or whatever type of food we had the offering of that day. And they were like, oh, so who made it? And if I made it, obviously I would say, oh, I made it today. It's, we made I don't know, a chicken franchise or something like that, right? With some sort of pasta dish, right? Like pasta primavera or something like that.
Chicken alla limon.
Yes, right. And I would just explain to them what ingredients were, if they had any questions, and then from there, usually the conversation like, oh, so would you like X, Y, and Z? And then usually they would be really nice and be like, oh, thank you so much, or or did you make this really like I tasted it last time, and did you make it? Yeah, I did. Oh, that's really good. Oh yeah, so did you study for this? Yeah, I went to school for culinary arts.
There you go.
Oh, that's awesome. So sometimes consciously and unconsciously, sometimes either I would start the convo or they would start the convo, and it always helped that you're able to smile at a person and look at the person in the eye and say, hey, what would you like?
Their tone also is a lot.
And trying to be in a friendly manner, just explain to them what it is. And sometimes like, and I've had this happen where they'll ask me, so how would you go about doing this or making this type of dish? And then I would explain to them, they would be like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, you can definitely substitute this for this if you don't find this ingredient, or if you're not able to eat this type of ingredient, maybe you want to do it this way. And they were like, oh, that's
accommodating.
Really,
yeah,
right. So having that type of conversation would lead to like, oh, so what are you guys doing for, like, maybe it would be a group of 2 or 3 people that would come in like, oh, so what are you guys doing for the weekend? Anything special?
The regulars, yeah.
Right. Understanding this is all people that frequent the actual place where I was working. It's not like a newbie. And sometimes some newbies were just really open because they would ask first, like, oh, so like, is this your only job or something like that? They would go, I'm like, or do you work somewhere? I'm like, yeah, I have another, a side gig that I usually do. They're like, oh, really? Right. So, so then that would be the conversation, like, oh, okay. So, and not everyone, and some would be like, oh, so do you live close by or do you live out of state? Because a lot of the people that would come to the location where I was, a lot of them were out of state, so California or Florida or something like that, or they would be out of country, right? So they would be from like Germany, Japan, or something like that.
Kanichi,
right?
And Denmark,
or Canadian, or even Mexican. Like they would come through and eat there because we had kosher food and stuff like that, and that was one of the big draws because it was like a OU kosher kitchen. A lot of people like that aspect, or the fact that they were able to go grab food, right? So there was a lot of people from from Israel or something like that, or even Russian that happened to be Jewish. So a lot of Jewish people would come through, and you pick up on certain words and stuff like that. So
you've always taught me about that with the Japanese. Is that where you got the inspiration, or is the Japanese always like since before that?
It was before that, but it just so happens that I was fortunate enough to meet people that were from other countries that. Right,
in other languages, man. Yeah.
Right. So like usually they would let me practice with them. So like say if they were from Germany, right, I'd be like Guten Morgen or something like that to them. Or if they were from like,
my name is Marcos, not Morgan. No, imagine.
Or if they were like from Russia, so like I would be like, "Привет, comrade." Like hit them with something to kind of break the ice, because sometimes they were very I guess like lost in thought, and it would be hard for them to kind of focus on what they were trying to order. And sometimes that icebreaker kind of brightened their day, and they're like, oh man, yeah, I'm gonna get some food. Why am I stressing out? I'm like, yeah, dude. Or if it was a girl, like, yeah, of course, why are you stressing out? You're too blessed to be stressed. Come on, what can I get for you?
There you go, you're too blessed to be stressed. That's the title for this one.
And I would just like hold it down, right? I'm like, oh, what can I get for you? Like, they're like, I don't know if I should. I'm like, listen, let me hold you down. Let me give you a little bit of both so you can taste a little bit of both. And then next time, if you prefer one over the other, then you know what to get. That way you're not so stressed about the options, right? Because you might want to get this or you might want to get the other thing. They're like, would you really do that for me? I'm like, of course, I got you. Don't even sweat it. And things like that would really help a lot. Not only break ice, but helping them achieve what they really want, because sometimes they had so much stuff on their mind that they would really be lost in thought because they had probably projects they had to do, something in the lab, life, and just helping them, like having that concept that you're there to help them, not stress them out even more, is something that perhaps you as the person that's giving the service, or even them receiving the service, they don't see it maybe in that instant. And some people don't even acknowledge it, but there'll be people that do acknowledge it, and in the long run, they actually appreciate it. And they'll come up, like I've had plenty of people come up to me and let me know, like, yo, listen, thank you. Like, I just wanted to let you know before I head out. I just wanted to say thank you. Like, thanks for the meal that you hooked me up with, or it's like, yo, next time, definitely I'm ordering this. Thanks for the insight, or whatever the case is. Like, those type of things really brighten up a person's day, regardless of how much stuff they have on their plate, in a
metaphorical and a literal sense.
Right.
Man, I know what you mean.
And then they'll be like, I've had people that I don't know and become friends with just through those type of interactions, which was really cool, because I would have never thought to know so many people from so many places. And I think the
You've
shocker
seen so
for
many
a lot of them,
faces.
right. But I think the shocker for them, more than anything else, is that because I'm Mexican, it's because I think a lot of people have that, and I don't mean to generalize, but I think a lot of people have that maybe stigma or stereotype of how Mexicans are.
Yeah, like all of us, you, Josue, and I, and Edgar, and Moy, like all those guys.
So I think people get taken aback, because it's like, okay, this person isn't what I imagine a Mexican would sound like, or look like, or perhaps act like. But once you they let down their guard and you start having the convo with them, and you can converse on that maybe not so deep level, but it's not superficial. It's like right in between, when you have like that small talk. It's like, dude, it really makes a world of difference, at least for whatever you're doing in that moment.
Even for you as the one that's trying to break the ice, it's like it worked, it didn't work, but you build something new. Like, okay, I learned from it.
So like, say, I don't know, there was these two girls from France, right? And I think they were there for like a week or so. And me, I don't know any French.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to try to interact with them. They knew English and whatnot, and obviously it's not like I'm gonna start parler le français, like, or start trying to talk French with them, because obviously it's like, yeah, no, if they know the lingo, or if they know English, it's preferable that you actually speak English to them.
It's not like in Japan, the stereotype, if you try to speak in a little in Japanese, they'll appreciate it. Is that like a general rule of thumb anywhere outside, or where you've been?
Well, I think over there it helped quite a bit, because not everyone speaks English, right? But over here,
or Nihongo.
Yeah. Right. But over here, it's a toss up, right? Because I think what their intention is to actually practice the English that they know, in order for them to be better suited for their interactions in real situations, right? So it would probably be not the best idea for me to start speaking to them in their native tongue, because it might be a false sense of security that everybody's going to know the language, right? And then they get into a situation, right?
A non sequitur, or what's the word? Like, everyone can kind of at least speak the language, but it's not true because you're putting in the effort,
right? Like, say, like, because when I speak to people in English, and like, say I've had people that are from like Mexico or Colombia or Peru or something like that come to get some food or whatnot, and I see them struggling with certain things, with words or something. I'm like, si gustas puedes hablar español conmigo, and they're kind of taken aback, because I think a lot of the times, especially with people that are born here, when they have, like, they're from like Mexican extraction, right? Like we are. I think a lot of times people that come over to the States and know that you and I are like a first generation or second generation.
They assume that
we were born here, that we might not know the language, right? And mind you, my Spanish isn't the best, but I think it's good enough in order for me to have a conversation, understand what they need, what they would like, and how I can help them in that specific situation.
In the customer service section.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's been situations where they're like, oh wow, no, I didn't know that. Well, I mean, I can't be going around looking Mexican and not knowing Spanish. That would be really horrible.
And unfortunately, there are situations that happen, but it is what it is, man. At least you're not contributing to that. Like, for example, whatchamacallit, just being able to accommodate with, like you're saying, people that can speak other languages and don't feel comfortable with English, specifically Spanish. That's happened to me too, like specifically with elderly individuals from other countries. Like, and you can tell how they're really trying to speak English, and then like
definitely
you would slide in Spanish, like, hey, si necesita alguna ayuda, la podemos atender también en español. No tenga miedo.
Right.
And
right.
And yes, please, yes, sí, por favor. And so people don't even stick; they continue with their English. Okay, no, it is what it is. At least I sent out the message. If they're uncomfortable, I'm here to help, and they continue with English. So it is what it is, man. And as another question, would you find it beneficial for development of young adults to at least work in any service in a service industry, like cashier or like catering or anything that requires customer service and physical, like
I think that should be a prerequisite as part of some like before going into your career. Like if you're going into a career that's STEM, right? That has something to do with STEM or has something to do with nursing or being a doctor or any like even a lawyer or whatnot. I think going through the situation of being a service employee in the service industry would be beneficial for that person, just because you start understanding how to interact with people, because a lot of people are awkward. A lot of people
even as adults we're awkward, man.
Right.
You never stop.
And it doesn't help that we were stuck in our homes for like the better part of like 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah, man.
So a lot of those soft skills that you developed over like a good amount of time, you get rusty with them.
They get
you
dull,
don't know,
man. They get dull.
You don't know how to approach a person. You don't know how to speak to a person. You sometimes fumble your words or you slur your words because
or
you're
mumble.
Or mumble.
Like, right? What was that? They say, huh? And I speak louder and then they mumble back. I'm like, gosh darn it. Like you said, huh? And you mumble at me and you don't reciprocate. I'm like, gosh darn it.
Yeah. And I think also, because you don't have that interaction with the person, you tend to not know how to go about like having or like how to start a conversation, like and how to end one, right? So you kind of are left in that awkward situation. Like, should I say bye? Should I, or what should I do after?
Customer service, I feel like whatever time it is. Okay, thank you. Here you go. Have a nice day. At least having that. Have a nice day. And you try to send the positive vibes, and I personally feel better. Again, it's like, oh, thank you.
Right. And a lot of times, people feed off the energy that you give out, right? So like if you're a very positive person, a lot of people will gravitate towards you and, reciprocate that type of, that feeling, right? Of like joyous happiness or outgoingness, right? So
but the thing is that you gotta practice, man. Anyone that's gotta do anything, even me being like joyful, it's like, okay, why? Like I've had that this week. Why are you smiling always? Right. Want to know my secret? Yeah, I make myself laugh. What do you mean? I'm in my head always running skits like Sábado Gigante or SNL skits. I'm making myself laugh. Like that's like what keeps me going. It sounds dumb, but it's my little trick that makes me smile every day. Like,
I don't think it's dumb at all, because I've had that question asked before, and usually it's like, why wouldn't I be happy? I mean, I'm alive. I get to see you, and you're smiling. I'm smiling. We're here. I mean, what's not to like? Why should we be sad?
I'm like always practicing jokes in my head. They flop. If they make me laugh, I'm like, you know what? Send it. Send the message. Let's see what happens. Doesn't make me laugh. At work one time, I forgot what I said. And one of the new building workers, like right before the whole thing with the pandemic that it was opening up, there was new workers that were like from fresh out of school. They were coming in with their backpacks, and that rang. I think I told you, and out of one of the recordings, or I said it to Mr. J, that this lady said, okay, I'm next. And she did I forgot what was the reference, but she did a JoJo pose. And in my head, I was still wearing a face mask. I was like, oh, yes, she's a JoJo fan. But, I was like, yeah, she's a young one. It made me super smile more that day.
No, I totally get that. Like, I haven't had that experience with anime or anime references.
I was like, choto mate.
Yeah, but I've never had like anime references with customers or clients. But what I've had is no, even like in, I guess you can say, in more of a private setting where it's like I'm just talking to a client or in private or whatever the case is. I've never had an anime, type of situation going on. But what I've had before with them have been like, yo, so do you, and usually it would come up, have you been here or there, like in this country or that country before, or have you tried this type of food before, or is there a restaurant you would actually recommend that I go because I'm not from around here? And I would, like, of course I would go out of my way to actually share some impart some knowledge of like some sort of restaurants that I like to go to, that I would like them to go, whether it's like they're gonna go out with family or they're gonna go out with their significant other, or they're gonna go out with friends for drinks or whatever. Like I would tell them like, oh look, there's a spot that I know over here on so and so street, or even in the city there might be a place that you might want to frequent or go to because it's super delicious, or the wait might be a little long, but it's definitely worth the wait because it's top quality products or food that they're going to serve you. And I've got, like, they've gotten back to me like, yo, thanks, it's good looking out for that that tidbit or whatever the case is. But and that really, like, for me, it makes me feel good because, like, for them to actually go and enjoy their time, like, I think that's awesome. Because I would hope that if I were ever in that situation, people would definitely hold me down that way. That's why, like, I've always thought, like, you get what you give, right? So if I'm gonna give out the best of me, I would hope at some point I would get it back. And it's happened before. Like, you
said it, you hit it right in the head, the nail. Like, man, like, a lot of people say, like, why are you so positive? Like, man, I want to be treated the way I treat people, so why not just
right.
You think it's basic, but people are living their lives, and things happen. So
unfortunately, right. It's not always.
You gotta learn to brush it off, man. You gotta learn how to brush it off.
Yeah, and I've run into people like that are like super, super negative, or they're like really, really like not having a great day. And even with those people, like I try not to give what they're giving me. Like I'm not trying to, like if they're treating me like maybe not in the most pleasant way, I'm not gonna reciprocate in being nasty with them, because it's like there's no point. Like I don't see the
And it
point
feels
of
so,
me.
yeah.
Like I don't see myself like stooping down to that level just to prove a point. Like I think that's kind of like a waste. Like it's a waste of time, at least for me, because then like I'm really letting something that shouldn't bother me. I'm like that's too much. That's too much of my mental capacity,
And your time is not, it's much more valuable than that.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, like for every one of those people, there's like 100 people that are coming that are super nice and super like, you know, awesome people that I can like have a nice conversation with, and you know, try my best to give them the best service possible. And a lot of times, you know, that's how I go through the situation where they're out of 100 people, maybe one person might not be the nicest, but even then it's like, dude, brush that off. It's not everyone. So it's always a good look to just, you know, roll with the punches.
And that's like, it gives you more empathy towards other customer workers, like going to the store. Oh, thank you, man. Have a nice, all those things. You know what I mean? Like it makes you have a different perspective to other people. Like I didn't share this, but I sent my headphones, right? The ones that I have for like some battery replacement, and you know, it didn't happen. It didn't go through, right? They couldn't get swap out the battery for whatever the electronic shop. I'm like, okay, and they let me know that they're gonna send it out as soon as possible. And 3 days, 4 days, they said, okay, we create the label and we'll send it to you. Okay, and you know, I have my own. And I asked, what kind of service are you gonna use? We're gonna use the big, you know, what was it? UPS. Okay, yeah, thank you. Have a nice day. I said that I was proactive like that. And you know how I have a UPS account, so I can, you know, track whatever label was created, you know, that service. And
right.
nothing popped up. 3 days later, I call again. Excuse me. I do the whole rigmarole. Oh yeah, it's over here. We haven't sent it. The label's created, but nobody sent it. It's over here in storage. Okay. You think can I get a date for whenever? You know, low key but respectfully requesting the service. Like, oh yes. And it was a lady, like, and she said, "Good thing you called me, because I was gonna head out. I think it was the Friday. I'm gonna head out. I wasn't gonna be able to send it out before, you know, leaving. Oh, thank you. I appreciate your time." I even said that. I appreciate your time, and hopefully, you know, everything goes well with you. And she said, "Oh, thank you." You know, she even like got her voice got a little bit more high pitched, and like, "Oh, thank you so much, man." You can hear the
the appreciation, right?
Yeah, and that also makes me feel nice. Like you try to send something positive, and it makes me feel. It makes me feel like tingly inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. It's like you get what you put out. So
like, I know your struggle. You know, have a nice day, man, or lady.
Yeah, and going back to the point you were asking, I think that's pretty much the why behind the reason for people to actually work in the service industry. Because I mean, there's going to be people that go there and work in whether it be a restaurant or somewhere that it's a service industry type of job, and they might have like a really bad experience, or they might have a really good experience, or people, there might be those type of people that go just because they need to get a paycheck, and they have like the worst type of like the way they conduct themselves, right, might not be the best. And what happens is that unfortunately will, like, whether they like it or not, that will affect not only their workplace, but the people that, you know, come through the door and ask for that service or the product that they're selling.
Yeah.
And you might have like the best idea or the best product or the best food or what have you, but when you have poopy service, like that 5-star automatically becomes like a 3 or a 2 or even a 1.
Yeah.
Because you're like, dude, like, it's not like I'm asking you for a favor. I'm paying for the service, or I'm paying for food, or I'm paying for, it's like, that's why it's like, if you're looking at it as just another day because I'm just gonna get another paycheck, that's like the worst way to look at the situation, you know?
You need the paycheck too, my person. Like, come on, like, make your time better. Like, even if this stuff happens outside, like, there's the saying, keep it from the door. Keep it, you know, what's the saying?
Oh yeah, leave your problems outside, basically.
Yeah. Like, you clock in, have your best day in the job site. You clock out, whatever beef goes on outside, it's nothing to do with the work. You know, that like mental capacity, that's a skill on itself. And then another example,
Right.
I told that I'm working over there in the coffee shop, right?
Yeah.
And I deal with customer service. My previous job, what was it? Was it the one that I had to go to when we met up in the shop in the Best Buy, right? I had to go around. It wasn't that much customer service. I was in the public area, but I didn't have to deal with a lot of people. And I just had to deal with the people that did customer service. Like I had to put end caps, had to deal with different stuff, right? With branding, all those things. And I would go in the back end of the warehouse. So I felt like I had whatchamacallit, like a third person view of what the people are doing and how they're treating the workplace. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't a fly on the wall. I was just minding my own business. I wasn't an invisible man, but I was there, you know, doing a service for the building and for the company, let's say Best Buy or Target, whatever. And I need to always talk with the manager at the end of the day to, you know, approve my whatever project I had to complete or branding I had to, you know, check up every once in a while.
Right.
And then it gave me a perspective of, I'm giving them a service. I'm observing the customers how they're being treated, and then I'm observing the worker / manager and how they're you know, conducting themselves in giving a service and working for the company. I felt like I was in that unique position that I was that outside third person perspective, and that I didn't do it. I think I only did it for like two maybe 3 years. It gave me the skill to, I belong here and I gotta do this, you know what I mean? And it gave me to be respectful, but not that empathy of dealing with people and their luggage that sometimes indirectly they toss at you. And remember an example, you and I crossed paths in X store at Best Buy, right? In the afternoon.
Right.
In my head, you noticed it. I don't know if you remember. In my head, okay, I was doing a checklist. I was over here, and you say, "Hey, Marcos." I'm like, "Huh? Oh, what's up?" I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, you know what? Like, I was in the zone. I wasn't
sure.
"Oh, hello."
Yeah, you were super hyper focused, bro.
I was doing this. I even had a clipboard. I was like, I need a clipboard. Do this, do that. Got to talk to the manager. I did the thing that I belonged because I was already in the zone. And the thing that I felt super awkward still that I felt the coffee shop has, you know, sharpened is the ability to slide into like an icebreaker conversation. May that be with someone that I know, like family, or some people that I knew from high school. An example.
Okay.
That Best Buy that you knew me, there was a worker there that knew me from high school, and I knew him from high school all the way to elementary school, right? And I was
okay.
But I was like, I'm not gonna come here. Like, you know, that was my mentality. My mentality go, I'm gonna indirectly try to avoid him, be professional, and just do my own thing because like, you know, I'm on the clock. I don't, you know what I mean? It sounded bad. It sounds bad, but it was like, it's less drama, but at the same time, I just didn't want to look into getting entangled. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm here to clock in, clock out, complete the job, and I'm out. Because that area where Best Buy is, there's a lot of other things that I want to go to this. Me personal, right? I want to go to this burger place. I want to do this. I want to go out. You know, like
Right.
It sounded bad, but I made my decision, and at the end of the day, I could have you know made more of a connection. And me now thinking about it now, but then I was like, I got to talk with security, and this person dealt with a lot of security. You know how there's in Best Buy, there's blue shirts, yellow shirts, and manager whatever color shirts. I would always have to deal with security, and security were always the yellow shirt guys at the front of the door.
Okay.
And they're like, yeah, oh yeah, like how's everything? And one time I went with my middle brother, to take care of some stuff in the Best Buy. Like, and this guy, he not the one that know me from high school. it was one of the workers that worked in the front desk. Said, "Hey, I know you. I didn't recognize you. How you been?" Like, "Oh, all good, all good." And they did the short conversation and like, doing here, doing there. Okay, have a nice day. Thank you. You too. And my middle brother says, "Hey, why don't you stay there and talk with him more? I got stuff to do. I'm only gonna be polite as far as I got time because you know what? It sounds curt, straight to the point. I feel like that's the classic New Yorker, right? As someone that hasn't been in the customer service. But now me working in the customer service, I can I understand my past self and say, hey, no, say this, say that. Even if it's pardon my language, if it's a bad icebreaker, not throw yourself out there, but try to be a little bit more amicable, I want to say.
Okay.
But in that point, I was like, yes, no, yes. Have a nice day. No, awesome seeing you. Bye. Have a nice day. And versus me trying to be a little bit more positive, I was more like serious. My mentality was like, I don't want to be recognized.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? I would like, again, the invisible man, but without, trying to be invisible. Like, oh, I think I know you. Yes, you do know me? Okay, I'm not coming here again. Like that's
really,
yeah. Like I don't want to be recognized.
Okay. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because you might have a really good memory compared to myself, Marcos, because like I've had that happen to me before where I'm somewhere, I'm out and about, whether it be by myself or with people around me, and say someone comes up to me, says, "Yo, what's going on, Alan? How's it been? How you been doing?" Dude, and I'm like, "Yo, what's up, dude? How you doing?" Or yeah, whether it be a girl or a guy, it doesn't matter. I've had that happen to me, and like I have such a bad memory that after the conversation is done, like I start walking off.
Who was that?
Yeah, like whoever I'm with, like, "Yo, that's what's up." Someone said, "What's up?" Like, yeah. They're like, "Who is it?" I'm like, "I have no clue, bro."
And you're like a wide-eyed looking at him, like looking down, like, "Oh, yeah, I don't know."
I'm like, and it might be that I met them in college, or I don't know, I met them at some place at work,
on the street,
or maybe like somewhere I was out and about, and I just happened to chop it up with that person at some point, and then we meet at this place, unintentionally, of course.
Cross paths, yeah.
And you cross paths again, and it's like, "Yo, what's up? How you been?" I'm like, "Yo, what's good?
You're great.
How you been?
Yeah.
How you doing? Yo, man, you look great. Yo, what you been doing? Yo, where you at right now? Oh, you working? Oh, that's so. Where you work at?" And just make that small talk. Like
that is a skill, man. I still don't feel comfortable enough to slide those.
Dude,
the weather, The weather. Look at the weather.
I'm like, "Yo, dude, is that your car? Yo, dude, that's a nice car. Yo, you just copped that, this year? What's going on this month? Oh, that's what's up. Oh, yo, do you still live over there? Yeah. Oh, dude, that's what's up. Nah, that's cool. And like, I'll start chopping it up with people, and I don't remember very well if
in your
this
head,
was
you're like
yeah, or even when we stopped the convo, and like sometimes we're standing there for like a good couple of minutes, or because I'm waiting for something or someone, like before the conversation gets a lot deeper, like I sometimes have to pause and be like, "Yo, my man's like, I met you at such and such place, right?" I'm trying to remember, and they're like, yeah, that's from. I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, it's because like, dude, I have the worst memory," and it's like,
just dropping that, man,
dude, and like, I'll try to be as sincere as possible because I don't want them to think like, "Wow, this person doesn't care about anything." But it's just personally with certain things, whether it be dates or names, like I'm just horrible with them. I can probably remember you, like how you look physically, and things of that nature. Like I'll remember facial features or something like that, or a time and place for certain things. But when it comes to like dates, like it's really hard for me to remember people's birthdays. Like those
I'm on the same boat. I'm on the same boat.
Like say something, like say like they're a name of a person, like, "Yo, this is Juanito, right?" Or "This is this is
Tony.
Lorena or whatever the case is. Like, yeah, right. This is Tony. You're like, oh yeah, oh, where do yo, dude, I remember you. I just don't remember your name. Like,
Yeah. For me, it's
Yeah.
voices. The
Yeah,
voice. For me, it's the voice of the individual. The way that
you
the
don't
mannerism-
remember?
I know that's what I remember more.
Oh, okay.
Like, and then like with you, like Alan, I know my cousin Alan. Like I can pick him out over there in the shop or anywhere. Like, come on.
Okay,
That's why I was like, oh, and then with the guy that I told you that I knew from elementary school.
Yes.
Like, no, he hasn't changed. This person, this man's like even in high school he didn't change. Like, yeah, now I know
Right.
this guy.
Right.
And and then it's like, yeah, no, do I know you? He said he's the one that slid it because I was over here in security working with the security guy, the yellow shirt guy, and he's a blue shirt. And he's like,
Yes.
I'm talking over here, minding my own business. Like, oh, do I know you from somewhere? Do you? What's your name? And I said, what's your name? I literally said, what's your name? Oh, my name is Dominic. Okay, Dominic. What's up, Dominic? What's your name? Where are you from? Oh, he's like, I'm from over here. Okay, Dom. Okay. Can I call you Dom? Yeah. Okay. My name is Marcus. Yeah. Do I feel like I know. He literally said like I wanted to stretch it. Like once he said that, like I want to get out of here, but at the same time I want to stretch this out. Does this make me like in my head? Does this make me a bad person? Like I want to see how far I can take it, but me at the same time wanting to bulk get out of there. But that's the human thing.
I mean, I think it depends because like sometimes you'll have you might be intrigued enough because look, this is the way I perceive it, because those are opportunities or you can create or you can make those situations into opportunities, right? Because you don't know, like chopping it up with someone, having a nice conversation, you don't know what that might lead to. It might lead to a nice friendship, might lead to getting your foot in the door for a new job or something, or a new situation that you know, if you hadn't had that opportunity present itself, you might have never been been pitched an idea or invited to a certain place or had a conversation that that would make you or allow you to see a different perspective that you probably wouldn't have had otherwise. So I always try to keep an open mind. Obviously, at least for me, I try to have some sort of filter on my ears because sometimes they'll even if it's a person that I know for quite a while, sometimes some people come out with like the weirdest things.
It is what
like,
it is, yeah.
Out of pocket. So I'll try to have like a filter on my ear. So like I'll listen to what they say. And sometimes it's like not that I'm right for everything, but like I have to filter it and see what's my best interest. Just because somebody tells me something doesn't mean that's the absolute or the end all be all. So like I'll listen to them though. I'll try to be as polite as possible.
Give them their time, man. That's very
it's like,
polite, man.
yo, thank you for that insight. I didn't think about it that way. I didn't see it that way. Or I'll share my 2 cents with them about whatever the case is. And just conversing with people might help you see things or understand something, right? Or it might lead to you chopping it up with someone and that person really like, yo, dude, you're cool peoples, yo. Listen, I'm gonna go do XYZ. Would you want to come through? Or I have this event for this, job situation. Would you like to come through? Or, things like that might be able to happen for you if you allow it to happen, right? Because you actually, whether you're good with dates or faces or names or not, but putting yourself out there in that situation sometimes is beneficial and almost necessary nowadays because, you don't know what life might, bring if,
what doors might be open just by you chatting it up.
Exactly. So I look at it that way. Now, obviously everybody has a different point of view
or the stories to tell, man.
Right, because and I think one of those I guess, talents that someone should start creating for themselves if you're in a situation like you're in the service industry, or even if you're in a situation where you might have to meet and greet a lot of people. I think one of those innate talents you should be, working out is being a good storyteller. Being a good storyteller is something that's going to get you really far, because sometimes that might, lead to something awesome at the end of the day. Because even if it's just a silly little, quip of a story that you tell, right? That might be like a 2-3, minute story or whatever the case is. But if you execute it well enough because you're a good storyteller, maybe the person that's listening might just be like, yo, dude.
Oh, like that, you mean like the guys right now, the listeners in the podcast?
Absolutely.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Welcome to the podcast, guys. This is an out of office episode.
Yes, it is. And yeah, but those are the, like, in certain situations, you can get your point across if you're like a really good storyteller, or there might be an idea that you want to present, but you want to do it in such a way that it isn't so heavy-handed. And maybe being a really good storyteller would help facilitate getting your point across, or just highlighting a simple truth to a person that ultimately might not have wanted to listen to your actual example had it not been for the story, or the story that you're telling that person, right? So I think storytelling is something that should be in your utility belt that you can actually use, because you don't know, like, sometimes you can even become like friends with people just because you tell a really good story, or just a good recall of something that might have happened to you, like a week ago or last year or a few months ago. It's like, yo, dude, did I tell you about this time that XYZ happened? And oh, who was there? This person was there. This person was there. And let me tell you, this person was dressed with, some gator shoes. He had the Louis Vuitton belt. Dang. My man had the fro. And what was crazy was that because we were going to go to this certain spot, this certain place, this person didn't think that there was going to be XYZ going on there. And dude, you should have seen dude's reaction on his face, because we bumped into this person's ex-girlfriend. Dude, oh my goodness. And, just being
You can tell the energy. The energy you're giving off.
Being able to, like, convey, like, a really good story sometimes is a very good technique to have, and to, like, really, practice it. So you're able to, get your point across. Sometimes it's really, really
more than one way. Yeah.
It's a really good, I guess, piece of advice I would give people. But I don't know if you've had a situation, Marcos, where, you're listening to someone and you're like, yo, that's a really good story. Like, I've never heard like something that they expressed that way or told that way. Like, I don't know if, like, when you're at work at the coffee spot, or even like amongst people that, like, whether it be friends or family or cousins or whatever out in Mexico, or even with your boss, right? I'm pretty sure he has really amazing stories.
He does. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you go through life and there will be certain situations where you're like, dude, this, I don't, if I didn't go through it, I wouldn't have believed someone going through it. And, being able to share that and express that and convey that to a person is awesome.
So, question: do you think then, like, there should be like a not only community service but customer service, customer service for like young adults, so that they can develop those interpersonal or patience even skills or ice-breaking skills? Like, because in school they do some activities and events, but if there's an actual service, I'm not saying it should be communitarian, but it could help some way for developing the children, and also developing, helping the market, if you will. What do you think about that?
Well, I personally think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I always thought that was the main reason why schools had like clubs and stuff like that inside as a extracurricular, right? So whether it be like the movie club or the drama club, like that would all, help in one way or another for students to, collaborate, get to know other people, be able to express themselves in such a way where they're around people that are pretty much their peers, right? It's not someone that a person that's gonna, well, you would hope that they're not making them feel bad or
ridicule them.
Just like clown on them, basically. Ridicule them, right, in such a way that they would be like sad or feel like they're bullied. But I thought that was the reason why those type of extracurriculars existed, like clubs, or even sports or
community service.
Community service, right, or sports in some shape or form, would probably be like the best, I think, or the reason why that could be like maybe the first step to moving towards experiencing the service,
but customer service, I'm saying, not
the customer service experience.
Like an example you're saying, extracurricular activities, like extracurricular activities,
right?
Like honestly, at that age group, depending on how your upbringing is, it's really like, it's a shot in the dark if you have any interest, because everyone, I feel like everyone's went through that, not angsty, like, I want to mind my own business and do my own thing, and forget about the rest. Like, I didn't personally wasn't interested in joining a club or activity until like my senior year. Personally, like, let's go check the robotics, let's go check the engineering, let's go check I wasn't restrained to committed to participate, but at the same time I wasn't myself committed to fully, you know what I mean? From their side, I wasn't committed. You gotta commit. And from my side, I was like, I won't commit, so I won't even go full on. Do you know what I mean?
Everybody's gonna act different. I totally get that.
True.
But I think what tends to happen a lot of times is that, to your point, people's upbringing might have something to do, whether it be a positive or negative situation. I think we get to a point when we start being adults, right?
Like it or not,
right? We have to live with the consequences of our choices, right? And I think if we start teaching people that there is consequences to your choices that you make, a lot of people will tend to try to make better decisions. I'm not saying that people are going to stop cold turkey, right, making really bad decisions. It's just that allowing them to know that's a truth in itself will help them maybe get out of that rut of being recluse, right, or just being a person that wants to be by themselves. Because on top of not being fun in the sense of like, there is no real, you'll find the people that'll say, the only way I can have an intelligent conversation with someone is when I'm talking to myself, because
dang,
like, they use that as like a shield from being around people that might push back on an idea that they might have. So instead of going through the motion of understanding that there might be people that don't agree with you 100% of the time, that isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, that's a first step, man. Like, you're
right.
Like, you want to treat yourself as the big the hot one in yourself. That's a good thing in your head, but you gotta understand that the world's a big place, and gotta
right.
be ready for loss, to
right.
catch L's, want it, like it or not.
Yeah, and like you see this more, or you start understanding it a lot more once you start growing up, and you can't really go back in time and say, well, I wish I were,
reminisce.
Yeah, you start reminiscing and you start thinking back to yourself like, oh, dude, I had the opportunity to be in such and such club, right? That had to do with, I don't know, acting or had to do with this sort of sport or something like that. And, I didn't take the opportunity. I didn't take the chance, right? I didn't take the risk of going and, getting myself involved. And now that maybe right now in retrospect, like it would have been nice, but I didn't do it. And now I have to kind of like,
reminisce because of the what if. But
not only reminisce, but like go kind of like now swim against the current, because now you want to do something that has a lot to do with what you could have been doing from the start, but because you didn't take that action, now you have to do it now as a grown-up, which it might be a lot harder than if you had started earlier in your life, like if you were in middle school or high school or even college, right? So
there's a lot less consequences at that age.
Right. So even if you do mess up or you don't like it, well, now then you had the opportunity to mess up and recover from that. But now as an adult, it's like you have less options because now you have responsibilities you have to take care of, right?
You gotta
have to
show
pay
up.
rent.
Yeah, you gotta show up to work at blah 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 time. Pay rent.
Right.
Eat.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
Those chores.
Exactly. So I think that's something that would be probably beneficial to the people that are younger if you start at least helping them confront that reality that it is probably better to go about and messing up now and participating now,
Throwing yourself out there.
yeah, while you have the opportunity to recoup, instead of not doing it and then in the future being like, damn, I should have done it, and start regretting decisions you didn't make, right? So that's what I think, at least for that type of situation. Because to your point, Marcos, not everyone has the same has the same situation of how they're brought up, right? There could be people that are from a broken home, right? So they only have either a mom or a dad for whatever reason, right? Or they don't have parents at all, and they were adopted, or maybe they're not adopted, but they live with their grandma or their grandpa or something like that, right? And situations are different, but at the same time, it's like everyone has 24 hours, the same 24 hours, and whether we like to understand it this way or not, but at least here in the United States, if there's a will, there's a way, right?
And then the school system, you don't worry about it, you'll pay for it later, but right now the adults are paying for it so you can have the experience.
Well, more than anything else is that the only cap, right, is the one that you put on yourself. Right? Because there's a bunch of help from even free resources that you can get online on YouTube and stuff like that, where really you're only limiting yourself because you don't want to take the initiative and take the time to actually learn
That's
something, right?
Yep.
So even more so now than it used to be when perhaps you and I were going to school, where the internet was relatively new or a new type of thing.
Gadgetries were new.
Right. So maybe information was at people's fingertips, but we were a lot more reluctant to use it because we probably didn't understand it, or we didn't have. And I say it because I know for a fact, I didn't really have a
guide, a mentor to guide you with the new changing technology.
I didn't even know what a mentor was, right? I thought a mentor was like just a fancy name for a person that that acted like a big brother or something like that, that would kind of point you in the right direction. But it's a lot more than that. It's a person that should challenge you, that should not only help you out, but also point out your mistakes and tell you, you know what, you're messing up. Why don't you try harder, right? So I didn't have that growing up, and I can't say I didn't. I can't say I didn't have a mentor, because obviously I have my dad, and he did, push me. He did help me in many ways, but sometimes and I don't know if this has been your case, Marcos, but at least for me, it's like sometimes you kind of doubt sometimes what your parents say because you think that they're trying to like shield you or protect you from certain things that
No doubt,
like,
yeah.
right, and maybe to a point, yeah, that might be it, but sometimes you might need that third point of view that's outside of the scope of what you can call your family, that nucleus family, right? The mom, dad, brother and sister type of thing, right? So
Your nucleus, that's a good word, yeah.
So you might want that third perspective that's outside of that bubble that might kind of like, again, push back on your ideas, push back on what you think or what you're doing, and kind of like help you test your theories and
bounce back and hopefully indifferently, like hopefully as honestly and as
you actually get to produce a positive, productive
growth.
Yeah, growth in your person.
Yeah.
So at least I didn't have that growing up. I had my dad, which was great. I'm not gonna stand or sit here and be like, oh no, my dad didn't help. No, of course my dad helped tremendously. But again, sometimes having that third point of view perspective from outside, that bubble of your family might be super helpful because you don't know what you don't know, right? And maybe that person will help you or guide you to see those, things, and you start becoming less naive, and that's very helpful.
something that hopefully the listeners can also take away is that at a certain age you don't know better about the world, right? You're curious. Hopefully that curiosity is fed to you even in school. For example, the middle school that I went outside the country was that always be curious to learn. Like, don't be afraid to not say I don't know, but at the same time say I'm too good for this, Hey there, Marcos here. This marks the end of part 1 of this recording. Join us next week on the posting of part 2. Also, there's a video version of this podcast posted every Thursdays of the week. The podcast is posted on Tuesdays and the video on Thursdays, unless otherwise told. So, enjoy. From the bottom of my heart, Marcos and the LTS squad, signing out.